It's Tuesday, the 2nd of August, 2016. I'm Robin Yellow, and this is Techtasm, episode 24, Apple Watch. And with me again, because nobody else is as sexy, is James Woodall.
I was wondering what you were going to say there, and for the record, that is factually accurate.
It's factually accurate within the confines of your own small world.
Yes, well, I'd like to think my wife would agree.
Indeed, I'm sure she would. Well, this week, Sexy James and I will be looking at Samsung's Note 7, an electric car which doesn't need batteries, and just how much money is Apple making per second. And we'll be judging these stories and a couple of others to see if they are a Techtasm, which is a blend of tech for technology, and Tasm for phantasm, something that exists only in a person's mind. So let's get on with the show. Well, TechAdvisor reported this week on the launch of the new Samsung Galaxy Note 7. And I'm sure you'd be interested to know the specs, James.
Bring it on, lay it on me.
Okay, well, what they've done is they have finally started using USB-C, which is the new reversible USB standard. And this also provides faster charging. A good thing, I think you'll agree?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It needed updating, so
the quicker everybody moves to the USB-C standard, the better as far as I'm concerned. They've also included an adapter for the old micro USB, which is handy because, I don't know about you, James, but all my adapters are micro USB.
Yes, yeah.
Now, the phone also has fast wireless charging, WMA and PMC, the two standards, Wi-Fi 11 AC, Bluetooth 4.2, GPS, NFC, I'm falling asleep, heart rate sensor, a fingerprint scanner, whatever.
It's a good phone, basically, is what you're trying to say.
But it's also got an iris scanner.
Okay. Interesting.
An iris scanner. Did you hear what I said, man?
It's I mean, that's really interesting. What my wife has a Note something or other, and it knows when you're looking at it, because I'm pretty sure Samsung's for a while have dimmed the screen if you're not looking at it. So this is clearly the next level. Is this in place of like a fingerprint scanner then?
No, it's got a fingerprint sensor as well, but it uses the front-facing camera in a kind of similar way to Windows Hello, which we saw on the Lumia 950 phones. And you unlock the phone by just looking at it. Now, it scans your eyes, and apparently it works really well. The TechAdvisor article said that it worked with this individual's glasses on, who's Chris Martin.
I don't know. But I guess if it's already got a touch sensor and you're holding your phone, won't you already unlocked it with the touch sensor by the time the iris scanner picks up?
Well, I have a Samsung phone, and in order to use the fingerprint sensor, you've got to put very, very much like the Apple, you put your finger on the sensor at the bottom. So you have to, first of all, you've got to pick the phone up. Then you have to position your thumb over the sensor and press down or put some pressure to show that it's you. Whereas with, of course, the iris scanner, you've got to power it up, so press the power button, which is more conveniently situated on the side, and just look at the camera.
Okay.
That's easier, isn't it? I mean, this one goes up to 11.
Yeah, no, it is. But what's interesting about the iPhone is the button where the fingerprint sensor is, which I think is the same as on the Android phone, is the home button anyway, therefore where you're likely to want to place your finger in the first place.
Well, interestingly enough, in Android land, while you're absolutely right on the Samsung S7 and all Samsung phones, in fact, the fingerprint scanner is in the same position as the iPhone. Other phones produced by LG and produced by Huawei for the Nexus line have actually got the fingerprint scanner in the middle on the back. So as you pick the phone up, your finger kind of naturally rests sort of 2/3 of the way up and halfway across in the middle in this little dimple on the back, which means that as you naturally pick the phone up, your forefinger touches the fingerprint scanner and you're logged in. Whereas it's a bit unnatural because if you have to unlock the S7, you have to pick it up with one hand and maneuver the other hand thumbprint over the button, or you've got to sort of balance it on your fingers and then curl your thumb over and press down on the scanner.
Yeah. Look, it's interesting. But
You're doing it now, aren't
to
you?
me, this is.
I was just doing it then.
Well, yeah, but on my phone, the awesome iPhone 6 Plus, it's just there. I don't know.
Oh, you're such a fanboy. Come on. I mean, iris scanners, it makes it easier to log on. Ultimately, this is a way of authenticating that it is you and getting you safely and securely to your desktop so you can do your thing. Now, if you've got a choice of 3 systems, a password, a shape, a fingerprint, an iris scan, use the one which is most comfortable and reliable for you. Now, fingerprint scanners have really only recently become good enough to be completely reliable. And it is their reliability which makes them the preferred screen unlock system.
So based on that then, iris scanners will be great next year then?
Well, I would have thought so, yes. If this is the first time I've ever seen one on a phone, please write in to techtasm.com, to podcast@techtasm.com. If you know of one which has got an iris scanner on it already, it's the first one I've seen, and because it's backed by Samsung's software and technology, it'll probably work. Otherwise, they wouldn't have put it on this phone, right?
Well, yeah, it's interesting. Hey, let's just see what happens.
All right, Techtasm or not. Are all phones going to start arriving with iris scanners,
No.
James? So it's a total Techtasm then?
Yeah, I can't see Apple doing it. I don't know, it just seems weird.
Do you know, I'll tell you, if Apple don't do it, it's not real to you, is it?
Isn't that the way the industry works, though?
Well, no, I think Apple, I've always said, are a fast follower. I've said they wait till somebody else cracks it and then do it themselves, with the exception of the fingerprint scanner, which was a company that they acquired, which had the best fingerprint scanner. A little fact, James, I don't know if you've ever seen a Motorola Android phone.
A long time ago.
Well, the more recent ones, say for the last 3 or 4 years, have got a sort of curved back, and in the middle of the back, it's got a little dimple with the M for Motorola, the Moto logo in it. Yeah. And you pick it up. It's just a feature of all Motorola phones. Well, apparently Motorola, when they were bought by Google, created this dimple in the back design specifically for a fingerprint scanner from this company that Apple bought. I can't remember the name of the company, but Apple bought it just before Motorola managed to. I think they had done the deal to license the technology. Apple bought them, and then obviously the license was withdrawn.
Well, fair play on Apple. I mean, that's the way the market works, right? It happens all the time. Not just because of Apple. I mean, Google have bought plenty of companies. Probably this week, I suspect. Yeah.
Yes, probably. Well, the company was Authentic, and it was 2012. And Apple bought it for $350 million.
Well, it's Techtasm for me.
Okay.
So, moving on, I just hit my desk with my hand there. Listener, I hope you enjoyed that. So, we've spoken a lot about electric cars on this show. I don't know if you remember, but we may or may not have had 1 or 100 discussions about this. But just to make that 101, Green Car reports that a company called Nanoflow Cell has declared that charging is a dead end. The idea that countries need to roll out a public charging network is just something that's not really possible. And this company, Nanoflow Cell, says that because they are bringing to market the idea of a liquid refuelable battery-powered car. I mean, this seems a bit weird, but I think you probably know a lot more about it than I do. So.
Well, I think it's based on the principle that flow cells, where you effectively take some electrolyte, and I think they call it, what is it, bismuth ion bismuth?
Yeah, bismuth ion electrolyte solutions.
Yeah, so what happens is these solutions are charged with electricity or with energy or with chemical power. And then you charge them, I think 40 litres I saw somewhere into the tank. These chemicals are then passed together, and of which a chemical reaction takes place, and electricity comes out, and you power your electric car, and the waste is water, which trickles out the bottom of the car.
I mean, what's the cost to produce? I've never heard of bismuth ion electrolyte solutions. I mean, the thing about the idea of a charging network, where you, like for example, the fact that you're using solar panels, that's completely renewable. So
yeah, that's true. But I think the if you're driving a car around, remember the amount of power that you need to transport the car around is directly proportional to the weight of the car. And if in say a Tesla, for example, where you've got up to 700 kilos worth of batteries, and here they're talking about 150 litres, which would be about 150, 200 kilos, potentially one third the weight to go the same distance. Well, then you can make better use of that power. Now, the BMW i3 is a quirky-looking electric car, which has a unique feature that other electric cars like the Nissan Leaf don't have, which is the bit where the driver sits, the kind of the body, the cabin is made from composites. So it's 300 kilos lighter than making it out of steel or whatever other cars use. So they're creating weight saving. So the amount of batteries that they put into the car will propel the car further. And I think this is just an extension of that. But I think they also, aren't they, James, saying that by fueling with liquids, one, it can be done very quickly, and two, it can be done with existing fuel retailing outlets, petrol stations.
Yeah, and that logic makes perfect sense. But part of the problem of fossil fuels, not only the fact that they are a limited resource, but also the energy cost through refining and drilling and so forth, is absolutely huge to get the chemical in the first place. I'm just wondering, haven't you got kind of a similar problem with this? But also,
well, that's the key to it, though, isn't it, James? You've absolutely hit the nail on the head there. Can this bismuth ion solution be created by taking the spent fluid out of the car? Because the fluid isn't consumed in a flow cell, is it? I think it is passed together, but it doesn't actually decrease in volume. It isn't burnt in the traditional sense. So there will be spent fluid in the car. The car doesn't get lighter as you drive along. So the question is, can you take that spent fluid and then re-energize it with photovoltaics or electricity from the grid? That's the bit I don't understand.
No, and I think if this has legs, we'll certainly see more of it. The article does mention the idea of hydrogen fuel cells, which a couple of companies like Toyota and Nissan and whatever are looking at. I think because I know what the word hydrogen means, I'm more susceptible to. I can believe that more because the concept of manufacturing hydrogen is not really a new thing, and surely hydrogen cars will be fueled pretty quickly as well, right? Because you just stick a tube in and pump it full of gas. So, it's interesting.
I don't think the the flow battery, which is what we're talking about here, or the flow cell, is anything new. I mean, it's basically virtually the same principle as any fuel cell. Is that could it be hydrogen or it could be this liquid? So I think it's been around for a long time. Therefore, why isn't everybody doing it? And is this company, have they just stolen a march? Certainly, in the article, they've got the nano flow cell Quantino concept. It looks like a very, stylish looking. How would you describe that car, James?
I don't know. It's a bit like, it's got the gull wing doors from the SLS, so it's
expensive.
It's expensive. Oh yeah, that car. Well, and it's also not real, so it can be whatever price you want it to be, right?
Well, hydrogen fuel cell cars, I don't see many of them pottering around Surrey. I have seen one on the motorway, just one.
Okay, but they're still pretty much in prototype though, aren't they, at the moment? So.
Well, no, I think they're selling them, but yes, you're right, only to certain people and because of the lack of infrastructure. And I think actually in California, they've been pulling back because there are no fuel stations for them.
Yeah. Okay. Well, nano fuel cells, nano flow cells. Sorry.
I want them to be real, but I want them to be real. But I just think they're like half a step back. So I just don't think they're going to catch on. I think it's a Techtasm. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, let's hope some good R&D comes out of it.
Well,
yeah. Let's move on.
Well, in Mac rumors this week, Julie Clover reported that iOS 10 Beta 4 has introduced dozens of new emoji promoting gender equality. Now, previously there's quite a lot of emoji that only featured men, such as the cyclist, the swimmer, police officer, and construction worker. But these are now available in either gender. And also there was some emoji that previously featured only women. Can you guess what that might have been, Jack?
Well, I'm guessing that's probably something like nurses, I expect, and maybe dancers or whatever.
Well, that's your own prejudice filtering through there, James. Quite honestly, it was the haircut emoji and the massage emoji.
There was a massage emoji.
Well, apparently so. Yes.
Crikey! So the reason I flagged this story up was because the world. I mean, and certainly Donald Trump. I don't mean to turn this into a political thing, although maybe I will. There's a lot of hate around there at the moment, and it's very easy to get sucked into the negative stories that are floating around. And I think companies like Apple have almost, I hate to say, a responsibility, a public responsibility, a social responsibility to help educate some of their users. And there's nothing wrong with a male nurse, for example, or a female police officer. And I think having those gender identities, I guess, is probably wrong. So I'm really pleased that Apple are doing these kind of things.
Well, interestingly enough, the same changes in emoji. Well, it's actually not the same changes. These new emoji have come following changes to Unicode implemented in July. Yeah. By the Unicode Emoji Subcommittee, some august body which I had not heard of before, to include these male and female versions. But for some time now, emoji have had multicolor options. So the ethnic angle has been removed. So the default color, I think, is yellow, which is obviously a color that humans don't have. Unless they're jaundiced, but you can replace the color of those emoji from dark brown through to bright white, and that's been around, I guess, for a couple of years now. But this new one is certainly breaking down those barriers now, removing that bias, removing that pointing out the difference. And I think also IT has got a role to play in that. IT generally, or the kind of kids that are growing up using emoji as a sort of native language are the kind of kids you want to get. You want to get people when they're young. So I'm glad to see this.
No, it's really interesting. It's a good change, and if any company is going to do it, it's going to be people like Google and Apple and Microsoft, who people interact with every single day. And a lot of times you hear about, if say older people have stereotypes built into them, you can say, oh, it's just a product of their time. As you say, if you can get people while they're young and make them realize that female police officers are not a bad thing, male hairdressers are not a bad thing, then that's fantastic. And on an interesting note, I saw in a similar story today that the pistol emoji on the latest iOS release has now changed to a water gun.
Quite right too.
If
there are any Americans listening to this, take guns out of your society, and then people will stop using guns to shoot each other. I
did read that a Texas college has now allowed students to take handguns into class to make them feel safer.
Do you know, that is the argument. Well, the primary argument is in the Constitution of the United States. The secondary argument is it'll make you safer. And the tertiary argument is it will cause more gun crime. I see it the other way around. But then we both live in a country which has got relatively or very low gun crime because our police do not carry guns around. I told my kids we were at the airport doing a pickup a few weeks ago. It was one of the few occasions my children have seen guns in the UK, and they were quite disturbed by it, I can tell you.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I don't think back to the story, I don't think there's a question here. I think I'm just very pleased that Apple is using its social responsibility to help educate people that you don't have to be biased or anything with these kind of things.
Will there be a female version of Santa Claus?
I was looking at that.
That's the one out of the grid in this article. It sticks out like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
I mean, for sure there is somebody called Mrs. Claus.
Yeah.
But I don't see her here.
I mean, she's made up, so, you can call her whatever you want, really.
Yes, that's right. Quite right.
Yeah, that is clearly the obvious one that's missed out. Although I'm looking at the dancer. Is there a male? The lady in the flamingo dress?
Yeah.
Is there a man in
that one either?
Flamingo dress?
I'm not seeing a man in a flamingo dress.
No.
Flamenco dress.
Flamenco, okay. Yeah.
Well, no, because a male flamenco dancer would wear, tight black trousers and a maroon silk shirt.
Depends what you watch at the weekend.
Fair enough.
All right. Okay. Well, there's no question here. Let's move on. So, actually, we're kind of back at electric cars again.
Well, sort of. No, this is more kind of big mergers and deals.
Is it? Okay. Well, Megan Gauss at my favourite website, Ars Technica, has announced that Tesla, the company that, according to you, has died 4 years ago, and SolarCity, who are, I guess, a big supplier of solar panels and so forth, they've agreed a £2 billion merger. The idea being that because, I guess, their technologies are similar, it makes sense for the two companies to join forces. And according to Elon Musk, in the first year alone, they will save $150 million in cost synergies and the first year after the deal closes. But what's really interesting about this is Elon Musk, CEO of Tesla, he's also chairman of SolarCity, and his cousin is the CEO of SolarCity. So, I guess it makes a lot of sense. But the really funny thing about the story is that, according to the terms of the agreement, SolarCity can only merge in 45 days if they can't find another offer. So maybe GM are trying to find $2.6 billion to get this done or something.
Well, I suppose the idea of because what does SolarCity do, James?
Don't they manufacture panels for solar?
I don't even think they manufacture. I think they just fit solar panels, don't they? Do they manufacture? I'm not sure.
It does say further down, the solar panel company is in the process of building its own $750 million solar panel factory in Buffalo, New York.
Oh, well, in that case, yes, they do. They do manufacture.
So
they're manufacturing and fitting solar panels. So they're a photovoltaic panel company. So yes, on the face of it, a very good fit for Tesla.
Yes.
So you've got the harvesting from the sun, you've got the storing in the batteries, and then you've got the using them in the cars. So they've got, of course, they have the Tesla Powerwall, which is a sort of grid smoothing tool that you fit inside your house, and it soaks up your photovoltaics during the day and lets you play that energy out at night, and can also be used by the power company to dump excess energy into storage when it's perhaps cheaper to generate. So on the face of it, it looks fantastic. But as you said, this has got some fishy elements. One, SolarCity, I think, is, if not in trouble, is going to be in trouble, needs somebody to rescue it. And two, as you say, it's all his pals, mates, cousins, brothers, sisters, aunts.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the funny thing about this is, what I don't get is Tesla were already in the process of building their gigafactory out in Nevada, the huge battery factory. I think they were teamed up. Was it with Panasonic?
Yes, that's right, for the battery manufacturer.
Yeah, so they're already in that market. What will buying... Okay, they say it's a merger, but there's clearly one person dictating this merger, and that's Elon Musk from the Tesla angle. I don't understand what they're gaining from this.
I think it's a fit, and somebody had to buy them because they were going to go bust, or wanted to be sold. There was some reason for them to be sold. And either he waited for it to go for a song rather than going bust. He could be committing an act of altruism and support for a company that's operating kind of in the same mind space as Tesla, and therefore perhaps saw philosophical, political similarities between the company and Tesla and wanted to preserve that, and thought, obviously, because on paper it looks like a good mix. But I think the market responded badly, didn't it? Marked the shares down of both companies immediately after it was announced.
Well, the fishy thing about it is, I guess Musk is at the top table of both companies. That's just a bit weird. It's just, I don't know. I think people are always suspicious about those kind of things. He has to do a lot of work to convince investors that he's not doing it because he's helping out his cousin. His business might be going down the toilet. So,
well, he's as I've said before on this show, he is unafraid of risk, and sees something on face value. You may say naively, but certainly he judges things like philosophy, intent, grand vision, strategy, goals as being more important than the minutiae and detail of a balance sheet, which is kind of admirable, I suppose, for a CEO, and certainly makes for great coverage, which is why Tesla and everything that it does gets a lot of coverage on this program, especially. But I think that the deal will go ahead. And I think SolarCity will kind of disappear under the Tesla wing, at which point it won't have its accounts reported, so we won't be able to see how well or badly it's performing in relation to other companies. It may enjoy subsidies from Tesla so that it can clean up in the market, and it'll be a footnote at every analyst call and report and interview and presentation from Tesla going forward. So I suspect it will go ahead, and that we will never hear about them again.
I agree. Okay, so just as a tiny little piece, just so our listeners are aware, Robin and I found a website,
everysecond.io.
Everysecond.io, that reports how much Apple, or how many products Apple has sold since the time you opened the web page. And mine actually froze because I think I minimized it. So has yours been running?
No, mine's only been running 3 minutes and 19 seconds. We started at the beginning of the show because we wanted to give you some fantastic insights into what Apple does every second. We thought, well, let's run it during the show and see how much stuff has been done. But mine's at 3 minutes 35.
Yeah, I think it's because maybe we minimized it and it just paused. So that's certainly what happened to mine. But I'm looking at mine now. It's been on 7 minutes. So, dear listener, in the last 7 minutes, Apple has sold 2,800 iPhones.
Nice.
560 iPads.
Not so many.
No. 220 Macs. So half the amount of iPads. That's interesting.
Yeah, but Macs will be a very high profit compared to an iPad.
Yeah, of course. 167 watches.
Yeah, well, I'm surprised it's even that high.
148 iPad Pros. So I guess if you combine that to the iPads, you're looking at around about 750 iPads.
Or does it say iPads sold, including iPad Pros?
Nope. Oh, it doesn't actually say. So are they differentiating them? But either way, in terms of revenue, Apple in the last 7 minutes, coming on 8 minutes, has made $3 million in revenue in 7.5 minutes.
Nice!
And $640,000 in profit. $640,000.
Almost your yearly salary.
I wish that was my yearly salary.
There's some really fascinating ones, like the amount of gold that has been extracted from used iPhones by Apple.
Yeah, $630 at the moment. That's pretty good.
$630 in 7 minutes. So that means they're doing a lot of gold extraction, which is quite good, actually, from a green point of view, isn't it? Extracting those precious metals out of the phones.
No, definitely. Actually, one interesting number, though, is in 8 minutes 30 now, since this has been going, Apple have spent $30,000 in marketing, equating to now $700,000 in profit. So they're clearly doing the right things. I mean, that's pretty impressive. And Apple Pay, just to round it up, $185,000 in 9 minutes. But of people using Apple Pay. Apple Pay, of course, Apple's own payment credit card replacement system where you can use your watch or your phone, or apps just to pay for things. So Apple is, I mean, are they the world's most valuable company at the moment?
No, I think it's Alphabet is bigger, got a bigger market cap now.
Okay, well,
but
still,
certainly they've got the most amount of cash on hand.
Yeah, I mean, that's just an incredible. Look, if they've since the time we've been talking about this story managed to get, I'm on $750,000 of profit. That's
nice. Well, this site, Every Second, fantastic, from Neil Agarwal, has also done Facebook and YouTube. And while you've been talking, for the last 51 seconds, I looked at the Facebook stats. There have been 2.8 million likes. People, wow. Get yourself a life. But in the last 1 minute, there have been 5.7 million video views. I mean, that makes them huge on video, doesn't it?
If you look further down, in the last 20 seconds, there have been 10 million messages sent on WhatsApp.
Yes. Well, we're avid users of WhatsApp, aren't we, James?
Yeah, I send probably about 3 or 4 messages a week. So yeah,
every 4 messages a week. That's right. To your 3 mates, 1 message each.
Yep.
Well, a bit of fun, but really staggering, the amount of money, the amount of information that's flying around the world. It's what makes tech such an interesting thing to follow. Well, would you, Adam and Eve, it? That is all we have time for this week. You can find us at facebook.com/Techtasm, subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, Feedburner, and contact us at feedback@techtasm.com. Well, we record every Tuesday at 2100 BST GMT, which is just about the time at which we're recording now, so we've actually hit it this week, James.
Wow, had to happen once.
By the law of averages. And this is Sir Robin Yellow.
And me, James Woodall.
Asking you, the listener, the question, is it real or is it just a tech test?